Good evening, everyone. Happy Valentine's Day to those of you who that matters to. You're locked into the Louie T Network podcast. I'm not going to get all deep and, be all melancholy tonight, but certain things just bother me. One of them is just, and I'm not one of these advocates for no one having guns and all that stuff. This isn't meant to be political, but why is the United States so violent? Other countries generally don't have these issues. And the ones that do have this from time to time crop up, don't have it happen as often as we do. Super Bowl parades are meant to be a joyous occasion. And I'm going to talk about this right now because I don't plan on talking about it again. I don't know what actually brought about the shooting. Was this planned? Did someone come to this event planning on doing what they did? Multiple people. We know 3 have been arrested. Did an argument break out? Like, what prompted this to happen? A lot of times we never get the full answers on that, which bothers a lot of people. I'm a big why guy. Why? I always want to know why. But 22 people being shot at a Super Bowl celebration, 9 of which are children, 1 dead. Are you kidding me? What are we doing, people? Seriously, what the hell are we doing when we can't go out and celebrate a championship as a fan base and enjoy ourselves and not have to worry about someone coming back home and returning to their families? Like, what are we doing? It's ridiculous. Anyway, you're locked in to the 397th installment of the Louie T Network podcast that starts The Louie T Network is powered by MusicHead University. MusicHeads, classes in session. Turn me up. Enroll on YouTube now. Link is in the description. Who else could it be but me, your man, Louie T? Welcome to the Louie T Network podcast. 397th installment for those of you keeping count at home on this somewhat grim February 14th, Valentine's Day. I won't call it a holiday. You can. I've been on this Valentine's Day soapbox for quite a while now. And the events of today kind of put a little bit of a damper on some of the fun that I wanted to have with Valentine's Day, but it's not going to change how I approach the actual show itself. But some of the topics that I wanted to address and talk about, I probably should put that in my back pocket. It's not, I think, the right time. It may not be as relevant or tasteful considering what went down today, which was just despicable. And all I could think about, after the initial shock of hearing about what happened and who the victims were and et cetera, all I could think about was, if this were my favorite team, there's no way that this would be happening, because we would be so excited and so beside ourselves that there's no way anybody could be upset at a Super Bowl celebration. But you just don't know who's there. You don't know what their intent is. Just mind-boggling that occurred today. But thoughts and prayers to the families affected. And then the fans that were there in attendance that saw these horrific acts take place, who have to explain to their children what they witnessed and what's going on. Like, that's ridiculous. Switching gears, I wanted to talk about Valentine's Day. Is it a holiday for you? Not for me. And my wife said something to me today, and so I know I got to step my Valentine's Day game up because I'm not a Valentine's Day guy. So I've been on my Valentine's Day soapbox for about, let's call it about 15 years now, roughly. You know, I'm not a Scrooge by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm not out here promoting Valentine's Day. That's for damn sure. Of all of the holidays, and it's not really a holiday, I don't consider anything that you don't get off of work for a holiday. You want to call it a celebration, knock yourself out. But, you know, if we're ranking all of the holiday / celebrations, this one has to be at the very bottom for me. To me, Valentine's Day is a man-made, and not that any of the holidays aren't man-made, just about every single holiday that we celebrate, man-made, right? We created all of them for various reasons. This one in particular, though, I can give you a credible reason why every major holiday is necessary and serves a purpose other than financial gain. I can give you a reason. There's no reason behind St. Patrick's Day or Valentine's Day, excuse me. There's no reason other than financial gain, which is why I can't stand Valentine's Day. It's a man-made holiday that literally was created and devised to put money in the pockets of businesses, and consumers fall for it every single year. And that's fine, but not all me. Now, my wife said, why don't we celebrate, say Valentine's Day? Why do you? I'm like, and then I went into my spiel and she was not trying to hear the shit. So I'm going to have to probably look, first of all, we do something around this time every year because her birthday is around this time every year. So it's not like we're not doing something. That's part of the reason why I don't go all out for my wife, because her birthday is literally right around Valentine's Day. However, still, at the end of the day, the candy, the flowers, the teddy bears, all of the stupid shit that they mark up to these astronomical prices. You know, you walk into a Walmart or you walk into a Target or one of these stores and they got this big ass bin full of teddy bears. When else during the course of a year is a teddy bear a hot commodity? I went into Wegmans today, and I know you're probably saying everything in Wegmans is expensive. That's not true. That is not true. I went in there and 2 dozen roses, $60. I can go into Wegmans next week and I won't pay $60 for 2 dozen roses. Okay? It's ridiculous. Anyway, I'll say this. Valentine's Day, to me, is for the younger crowd, the younger population. I love my wife every day. Now, Could I show it more? I probably need to show it a little bit more. I think sometimes we get caught up in the day-to-day mundane task, and you forget sometimes to show your appreciation for someone. That can go both ways, but I'm not talking about her. I'm talking about me, and I can do a better job. I don't need a holiday to remind me of that. I don't need a holiday to dig in my pockets to help me prove that I love someone. I'm good on that. Now, when you're 13, 14, yeah, Valentine's Day is the shit, right? You get to shower your little girlfriend at school with all kinds of teddy bears and boxes of chocolate and balloons, and she gets to go, look at me, I got all of this stuff from my boyfriend, right? You get all the cool points on Valentine's Day. That's great. That's who Valentine's Day should be for. Too old for that shit. To hell with Valentine's Day. Anyway, I digress. So I did say last show that I wanted to bring this up, so I'm going to stay true to form and bring it up. Over the weekend, first of all, why didn't none of y'all tell me Suicide Squad was really good? I'm not a DC guy, right? So I don't really venture into the DC universe very often. But we were perusing around Netflix, and something that has become a pastime of me and my wife. This is how I know we getting old and we really got to snap out of this shit. So one of our pastimes has become to go on Netflix, peruse the Netflix catalog, go through all the ones that interest us, crime, suspense, new release. And then we just add things to our watch list. Shit that we will never, ever watch. But we watch the preview. Oh, that looks good. We add it. And then every so often, we'll actually go to the watch list and say, hey, let's see what's up here. Maybe we can watch something. We'll go through everything and watch nothing. We literally 2 weeks ago, this is the true story. This is so funny. To me, at least. We literally went through our watch list 2 weeks ago to clean it out. We went through our watch list on Netflix to clean it out, to get rid of the things that we either already watched or have no intentions of watching. And we know it. We both know it. And so we get rid of it. So that was like doing some sort of spring cleaning, if you will. It was hilarious. But we actually decided to watch something. Because a lot of times we'll go on Netflix, we'll go through all the different genres, we'll go through all the different categories, and we'll add a bunch of stuff to the watch list. And that'll take us an hour and 15 minutes. And by the time we're done, we look at the clock and we're like, oh, do we really want to dedicate an hour and 47 minutes to something? And we both go, nah, because I know she's not going to make it. Oh, I'm good to go. Right. And she'll argue, quite the contrary, right? Like, oh, don't try to act like you don't fall asleep. I rarely fall asleep. And this is the thing. If I do doze off, I can snap myself out of it and be good, right? Get that second wind and I'm straight. She is done. Once she starts nodding, it's over. It's a wrap. Those eyes closed. She'll fight me tooth and nail, by the way. It's so hilarious because she's asleep. My thing that I do to ensure that she's asleep is I pause it first. Because we'll be watching something. I'll pause it and I check her to see. Because if she's not asleep for real, if I pause it and it stops, she'll know. Right? Like, what you doing? I'll pause it. I'll sit there for about 5 seconds. If I hear nothing, she's done. She's done-ski. So then I'll just turn on something that I want to watch. And it's like, wait, what you doing? What happened to the girl? If you don't go back to sleep, I didn't turn that off 30 minutes ago. What is you talking about, right? It'll be like really like 2 minutes ago. But I'll tell it, man, I turned that off 30 minutes ago. Girl, go to sleep. Works every time, right? Anyway, we got to Netflix so early this weekend. We were running around. My son played in his flag football championship. They won in a shootout, no less, 36-35. It was a very entertaining game. So we come back from that. He got invited to a birthday party. So, okay, full disclosure. And I know I'm kind of all over the place, but y'all just bear with me as I take y'all through the warped mind of Louie T. One of my most hated places on the planet Earth right now. I hate this place with a passion. Chuck E. Cheese. I had not set foot in a Chuck E. Cheese in 13 years. And I had vowed to never go back. Oh my God, Chuck E. Cheese is one of the banes of my existence. I hate Chuck E. Cheese. Very, very much. Anyway, my son got invited. And of course, where's the damn party at? Yes, it's at Chuck E. Cheese. Now, I started not to go. The last time he got invited to a party that was at Chuck E. Cheese, I sent my wife, I'm not going. Have at it. I'll keep the twins at home. You guys can go. I'm not going. So this time, she was like, I really don't want to go by myself. Because I was like, I'll stay home with the twins. You take him. You know, we just came back from the flag football. We're good. We went out to the store. We bought a couple of things. They had a couple of activities at school this week. So we went ahead and got those things in advance. So I was like, yeah, no, we'll you know, I'll come home. You had the twins while I was gone. I'll take them. You guys go ahead out and I'll see you when you get back. She's like, I really don't feel like going by myself. She hit me with that bullshit. I really don't want to go by myself. I was like, and I really wanted the twins to get out of the house too, right? So I looked at her like, She's like, I know you don't like Chuck E. Cheese, but if you don't go, I don't think I'm going to go. And I had already told my son that we were going to Chuck E. Cheese's, and he loves Chuck E. Cheese. Of course he does. He's 5. All right. I had to swallow my pride because everything in me said, F him. He won't be going to Chuck E. Cheese or this birthday party today. I was ready to stand on business. I was not breaking the streak for my son. Then I said, what are we doing, guy? This is what being a parent is all about. Putting your biases aside, your dislikes, your discomfort, all of that shit goes out of the window. We always do it for the kids. And as we all know, Louie T loved the kids. We went to Chuck E. Cheese, and within 7 minutes, first of all, so much has changed in 13 years. Who knew that they took the ball pit and all of the little playing area? Who knew they took them out of Chuck E. Cheese altogether? Which was probably smart because I knew parents that used to just take their kids to Chuck E. Cheese on a Saturday, whip out a book and let their kid not spend a single cent. Don't even buy the pizza or drinks or nothing. No game cards, nothing. They just go there, turn their kids loose, and they sit there and read a book. I don't know how you read in that environment, but to each its own. So it makes sense. I know why they took it out. I hadn't been in 13 years. The last time I was there, the whole, ball pit, slides, all that stuff, that whole contraption was in there. They took that out. You used to have to get a stamp to get in 13 years ago. Hell, when you first started going, you didn't have to do anything. People could take your kids out and all that stuff. So of course that became an issue. So then you had to get a stamp. Now you have to take a photo with everyone you came with on your phone. And then when you're leaving, you have to show them that same photo, and everybody in that photo has to be in the photo if you're leaving. How convenient. I get it. I'm not upset. It's all in the name of making sure nobody walks out of here with a kid that's not theirs. I get it. Within 5 minutes of being in Chuck E. Cheese, I remembered why I hated it so much and was ready to go. The kids at Chuck E. Cheese are the worst. You want to talk about some little badass kids? Oh my God. I've got my kids and they're, minding their own business, riding a little train. Only 2 people can fit in this contraption. And I've got twins, okay? Some little badass kid comes in and he's trying to squeeze in with my twins, and I don't want to touch anybody else's kid. I'm not that parent, right? Because I damn sure don't want you touching my kids. Do on to others as you want them to do to you. So I'm looking around like, whose little badass son is this? Please come get your damn kid, please. And he's touching stuff and pressing buttons and he's trying to get in. And my daughter's looking at him like, sir, this is a train cart for 2. Maximum occupancy. Please get out. And he's looking at her and he's pressing buttons and shit. He's looking at my daughter and she's looking at him like, and my son, he just doesn't give a shit. He's just minding his business. But my daughter's like, who are you? Let me see some ID. And I'm looking at him like, bro, it's all these different cars because Chucky's out right now. He's dancing around. Everybody, all the kids have left the toys. This is the perfect time for me to let my kids play with these toys so I don't have to worry about it. And here comes this little badass kid trying to get in. Then I said, you know what? You want to play with this? The ride finally stopped. Come on, we're going to go get on this one. He follows us. I'm like, dude, what do you want? What do you want from us? And of course, he's got to have snot. My kids are finally not sick. He's got snot coming out of his nose. He just took his hand out of his mouth. Like, bro, leave us alone. Where is your mom or dad or grandma or whomever you came with? Where are they right now? Please, somebody come get this kid. I was this close from yoking his little ass up. This close. This is why I don't go to Chuck E. Cheese. This is why I stay out of Chuck E. Cheese. Then the biggest kids are doing the most ridiculous shit. Like, you too damn big and too old to be doing that shit. We got the little merry-go-round, right? There's only 3 horses on this merry-go-round. I got twins, so I need 2 available horses. I'll just wait. Every time we were about to get on a ride, some kid comes out of nowhere running 417 speed and jumps into the damn ride before we get into the shit. Do you know how many times that happened? There's a blue car. My son's ready to go get in. I'm like, come on, guys, let's go get in the car. We just got out of the Minion ride, right? We just got out of that, and he wants to run into the blue car. And before some little girl just comes in, and jumps in the joint, right? I'm like, okay, snooze, you lose, right? So we wait. And we wait. And of course, she wants to stay in this thing for 25 minutes. So now I'm like, hey, the card that we have, it's 30 minutes and you get 1 break. I'm not taking a break. We're going to run through this thing and we're going to get as many rides in these 30 minutes because once this card runs out, we are leaving. So she finally gets out. I turn my back for a second to see if there's another ride we could possibly get on. She gets out and another kid comes out of nowhere and dives in the damn car. I said, okay, we're just getting on something else. So we're going to go get on the merry-go-round, right? The little horses. So we go to get up there. I put my first twin on one of the seats, and here comes this big, humongous 27-year-old kid out of nowhere, and he jumps on the other one. I'm like, get me the hell out of here now. Get me out of here now. I mean, it was the worst, right? Just everything that I remember as to why I never wanted to go was happening again. And then, the thing that pissed me off probably the most is the parent that apologizes for their kid, but still lets them do the action that they just apologized for. Like the kid runs into the ride before we do, and the parent comes, oh, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, it's okay. If you're sorry and you saw us there first, how about you grab your kid or you do, hey, let's go get on this one over here. We'll come back to this one. No. Oh, I'm so sorry. And then you just stand there as they ride the ride, knowing that we were getting on the ride. My patience is very, very long, but it is super short at Chuck E. Cheese. Oh my goodness. Then you got the hood parents who, every single ride they put their kid on, they got to get on the ride with them and they got to take pictures for the gram. Oh, look at where little Mike is, right? Soon as that card ran out, I looked at my wife. I said, she said, you ready? I said, she saw that face and she was like, all right, I'm going to tell Trey we about to leave and tell the, mom of the person who was having a party that we about to get out of here. So, as we're leaving, everything is going well. My daughter decides she wants to throw a temper tantrum. We were almost out of there in the clear. And then there was this free ticket for Dippin' Dots. And my son wanted to get and I was cool with that. My daughter starts freaking out. So I snapped on her like, hey, you better be quiet. We don't do that. One of those types. And then we finally make it out of there. It was like, oh my God, I'm never going to Chuck E. Cheese again. I swear, I'm done. I'm done. My hands are up. I'm done. I'm never going to Chuck E. Cheese again. We got home from that party at like 6:30 and it was bedtime. Like, okay, you guys are eating. I don't care what time it is, you're going to bed. I told that story to let you guys know that we got to in front of the television at like 6:57. So by the time we did our little Netflix peruse and looked around and said, do we have 2 hours and 27 minutes? Yeah, we do. It's only it's only 7:51. Yeah, we got 2 hours and 27 minutes. So needless to say, that led us to a movie that we probably have been running from for 3-4 years now. And we said, she looked at me and she said, hey, you want to do Suicide Squad? I was like, yeah, you know what? I'm kind of in the mood for that. Yeah, let's do it. I said, have you heard anything about it? I'm asking her that like Suicide Squad just came out 3 months ago or something. She's like, nah, not really, but I've been wanting to watch it. And I'm like, I've seen this a million times and I've never said, hey, I should watch that. I just always go, oh. But I'm like, let's do it. So we watched Suicide Squad. I've seen all the Harley Quinn stuff, like not actually watched it, but like I know she's got a cartoon on HBO Max and I've seen that she's got a movie and I don't even know who she is, right? So I'm like, what's with this Harley Quinn and all of this stuff? So I was somewhat intrigued. I get to Suicide Squad and man, the first one was really good. We enjoyed it a lot. I didn't even know Will Smith was in the first one. I got to stop calling it the first one. It's Suicide Squad and then The Suicide Squad, which is the second one. I didn't know Will Smith was in Suicide Squad. So he killed it as Deadshot. And I just thought it was a really well done movie. The first one. and the storylines were all good, and I really enjoyed it. So we enjoyed it so much. My wife was like, "You want to do the second one now?" I'm like, "Yeah, why not?" I mean, it was only like 10, 13. We still had plenty of time, right? So we knocked out the Suicide Squad. And she was already bad mouthing it. My wife is one of those people, when she sees the first one, now that's the standard, right? That's what I'm holding you to. And without even giving you a shot, there's no way you can live up to the first one. And once she saw that Will Smith wasn't in the second one, she's like, "Oh, this is going to be trash. This is going to be trash." And I'm like, "Babe, you can't do that. You're already condemning the movie. And then if you do that mentally going into the movie, you're already going to be nitpicking and looking for stuff that's wrong with it. Just give it a chance." Which is what I usually tell the fan base, right? Washington, if you're a Commanders fan, I always say, just give it a chance. It's not going to hurt you to give it a chance. What hurts is when you go all in and you throw caution to the wind. That's what I did last year. That's why last year hurt so much. So she was bad mouthing it, but she still wanted to watch it. She's bad mouthing it. It's not going to be good. And the very beginning threw her a nice curveball because they unveiled these new superheroes, and they were all trash, right? And she was like, "What kind of superheroes are these? See, I told you this movie was going to be garbage. I told you this movie was going to be trash." I'm like, "Relax." Like, I didn't know they were all about to die. Spoiler alert. If you haven't seen the movie, look, this thing didn't just come out, okay? I'm not here to try to hold your hand through spoiler alerts for a movie that's been out for like 3 years now, okay? Anyway, needless to say, every single person that went to that portion of the island was destroyed. And she was like, "Oh my God, what's the dude that was messing with I can see his face. The dude that was messing with Kim Kardashian, that was on Saturday Night Live, and he's got all those are they Burger King commercials? Or Taco Bell? It's Taco Bell. I think they're Taco Bell commercials. Y'all know who I'm talking about. I forgot his name. Anyway. So, yes, Pete Davidson. Thank you, Rip 21 Meest Sean Taylor. Pete Davidson. He's at the beginning of the movie. She's like, "See, I know this movie is gonna be whack. I told you it's gonna be whack. Pete Davidson is in this movie. He's in this movie." Because he's a dude that you can't really take serious. Now, he's done some serious roles here of late, right? But he's hard. Just looking at his face is funny because he never looks like he takes anything serious. So he dies like in the first 2 seconds of the movie, right? So she ended up liking it. I'll save you the time and the trouble. She ended up liking it. Not better than the first one. I thought the first one was better. I thought Suicide Squad was better than the Suicide Squad. What says you? If you liked either one of them. Which then led us to, you guessed it, Harley Quinn, Birds of Prey. Because my wife loved her character. So, as many people did, which is why she spun off and got her own movie and, cartoon, everything, etc., etc. So we went and watched that movie. That was okay. That was good. It wasn't great, but it was good. So we took a little tour through DC for a little bit over the weekend. Better than I thought. Why didn't y'all tell me that Suicide Squad was pretty good? I would have checked it out a long time ago. Anyway, I digress. Yes, Margot did kill that role. Absolutely. That was one of my favorite characters. It was a really good movie. We enjoyed it. So we got some more that we got to knock out. A lot of movies that we had been running from that I think we're going to finally sit down and watch. That kind of reinvigorated us. some of our shows are starting to come back, so that's going to complicate some things. I think that actually helps, though. We're a big Equalizer fan. I don't know if you guys watch Equalizer with Queen Latifah. That's coming back this Sunday. Abbott Elementary is hilarious. Don't know if that's your speed. That came back on last Wednesday. So that was an hour-long episode 1 of season 3, and it was just splendid, worth the wait. So I think that's going to get us back into watching movies again, because we had went on a drought where we weren't watching anything. Anyway, I digress. Let's get to matters of business. Probably why you came. Let's get to the gem dropping session. Let me drop this gem on your melon. Open your mind, let your conscience be free. You're now rolling with your man, Louie T-E-E. Let me open you up. Get you thinking a little bit. So, Valentine's Day didn't go as planned for some. Obviously, those at the Chiefs Super Bowl celebration and rally. But on a much lighter note, even though this is not good, San Francisco 49ers parted ways with their defensive coordinator, Steve Wilks, today. Now, that may have come as a surprise to many of you out there. I was not one of them. And here's why. I'm going to explain. The defense, while it was good this season, was not great this season. And I thought they were exposed in the postseason defensively, because Steve Wilks, and I was talking to someone on socials earlier when the news first broke that he was being removed as 49ers defensive coordinator. That person was like, hey, we need to go get this guy, pretty much. That's what they were insinuating. And I'm like, for what? Like, what is he going to do in Washington? We've pretty much filled almost every single position known to mankind. We've even created positions that we didn't have before. There's nowhere for him to go. And furthermore, this guy was this close to being a head coach last coaching cycle. He took the demotion back to defensive coordinator after being the interim head coach of the Carolina Panthers to be with the 49ers, hopefully to strengthen his resume to get a head coaching job this coaching cycle. You know, it's funny too. Sidebar, real quick. Put a pin in that. We'll come back to Steve Wilks in a second. People keep asking, why doesn't Steve Spagnuolo get any opportunities to be a head coach again? And I think it's a very multi-layered answer. I'll just start with the easiest, lowest hanging fruit of an answer. One, he sucked at it the first time with the Rams so bad that he scared people away. But that's not why. It's not why. I don't think. That's the lowest hanging fruit, though. Oh, he was terrible. I saw the Rams, one of the Rams owners who was there when he was there, or not one of the owners, one of the GMs there. I don't think it's Les Snead. It might have been Demoff, right? I think it might have been Demoff. And he was like, yo, when he was here, the infrastructure of the Rams organization was trash. We weren't in a position to handle a guy. Like, we didn't make his job easy. He came in, he changed the culture, and we didn't do our part. And so it was a miserable situation for him. He deserves another shot. And while that's all fine and dandy, the fact remains that a lot of teams aren't interested. And again, if you're going to get a job as a defensive guy, you're going to probably have to be on the younger side, right? Like, either you got to be young or you got to be super energetic. Like Dan Quinn, super energetic. But even when he didn't get it done, he went to the Super Bowl. So there was always a chance he could get another shot. But for Spags, I think he has been shut out because the Chiefs make it to the damn Super Bowl almost every year. Nobody's waiting that long in the cycle for an opportunity to interview a guy. I guarantee you, Spags would have at least been interviewed. He doesn't even get interviews. I bet you he would at least have been interviewed by a team or two had the Chiefs been eliminated in the divisional round or wild card weekend. But they always are playing at a bare minimum in the AFC Championship game. Usually they're in the Super Bowl. Who's trying to wait that long? Anyway, take the pen out of Steve Wilks. I only brought that up to say it's tough for a guy like him to get a job because, you know, they were in the Super Bowl this year. But he didn't do a great job. And I always say the third time is usually not the charm for a team that has been picked away at defensive coordinator. I just go back to Ronald Rivera and his time in Carolina. First coordinator to get picked off of his staff was Sean McDermott. Successful, still coaching with the Buffalo Bills. The next guy to get picked off was Steve Wilks. He went to Arizona. It was a disaster, but that was the second guy. The third guy that Ronald put in charge of that defense was Eric Washington. He was ass, and Ronald had to replace him. He had to start calling the plays. He had to demote him because he wasn't doing a good enough job. There's a shelf life on how long you can get away with having to replace defensive coordinators before the shit starts to go off the rails. And the 49ers hit that third guy. Now, they still got to the Super Bowl. And Kyle talked about why he made the move, why he made the decision. And he said it was a tough decision. Steve Wilks is a great man, and he's a really good football coach. But philosophically, he didn't jive with what we had built in San Francisco. Essentially, what he was saying is their first coach, Robert Saleh, instituted a system that they ran with great success. An understudy of his was DeMeco Ryans, who came in, ran the same system, tweaked it a bit to his liking, right? To his specifications. But long story short, it was the same defense. Very successful. Steve Wilks comes in and he uproots what they had going because that's not how he coaches defense. He's not an aggressive defensive coordinator. And as a fan of a team who had a very passive-aggressive defensive coordinator, it's frustrating to watch when your guy just doesn't blitz, or when he does, he makes it so painfully obvious that if you're playing, like you can get away with that when you're playing against Kenny Pickett or Mitchell Trubisky, right? You can get away with some shoddy ass trash blitz and have it wreak havoc and force a turnover because you're playing against Dorian Thompson Robinson or PJ Walker. You can get away with that bullshit. It's hard to get away with it when you're playing against Mahomes or you're playing against, I mean, hell, even Jared Goff for that matter, right? Anyway, he's not a blitzer. He likes to rush forward. He likes to play coverage behind that. And then when it wasn't working, because it was working very well, I may add, in the early stages of the Super Bowl. But then because this is when I knew he was getting fired. I said, if they lose this game, when Kyle Shanahan called a timeout in overtime to stop him from blitzing because he was about to send a 6-man blitz. He had already done it. It looked exact. This is how you know when dudes don't blitz. And then they're out of their comfort zone now. They're reaching for answers. They're grabbing for anything. And they start doing shit that is really not them. You can tell. You can tell. It felt like I was watching the movie Class Act when Blade Brown was trying to turn Duncan Pendercuse into Blade Brown. And he was explaining to him the lingo, and he was trying to give him his gold tooth, and he was trying to get him into some fresh gear, and everything just seemed unnatural. So I be getting fly? That's stupid. He said, thanks. Did you not hear me? I said, that's stupid. He said, did you not hear me? I said, thanks. You could tell he was out of his element. I mean, how obvious can it be when you got all 6 defenders that are blitzing up at the line of scrimmage, and then the 5 guys playing man-to-man, all like 11 yards off? You think Mahomes isn't about to eat this shit up? They did it earlier at the end of regulation. I think that was the pass that Kelsey caught man-to-man. He beat the defender right off the line of scrimmage and ran that shallow cross, caught it, and ran all the way down to like the 13-yard line, and that set him up for the field goal that tied up the game and sent it to overtime. They ran that same stinking ass blitz again. This is how you know he doesn't blitz. It looked exactly the same. You think Mahomes wasn't ready for it? And this time they threw it to Rashid Rice, and he catches it, and he runs after the catch. And they were going to do it again. And Kyle Shanahan, no, the hell you are not. The Super Bowl is on the line. You are not running this shit again, because the next time they might score a touchdown. He called timeout. And I said, uh-oh. Anytime an offensive head coach has to burn a timeout to tell a defensive coordinator you're not doing that, it's going to be trouble. Trouble. They come out of the timeout, and this man plays some regular ass soft zone. And they complete a pass, and then Mahomes takes off and runs the next time for like 20 yards down to like the 11 or 12-yard line. And I said, he's getting fired, because they're getting in the end zone now. And Shanahan's pissed, because not only did we spot you a 10-point lead, we gave you not 1, but 2 chances to win the game. Easier said than done. I'm fully aware. And in the defense of Steve Wilks can say, well, if I may have a rebuttal, I spotted you a 10-point lead, got you numerous stops, and gave you every opportunity to extend that lead. I even gave you an interception with the football in Chiefs territory to start the third quarter, and you went backwards. Don't talk to me about not holding a 3-point lead twice. How about you score touchdowns instead of kicking field goals? So he has an argument, but somebody's got to be the fall guy. When you lose in the Super Bowl, somebody's got to be the scapegoat. When you blow a lead in the Super Bowl, somebody's got to be the scapegoat. When Kyle blew the Super Bowl in Atlanta, he was the scapegoat. Easy, right? You're up 28-3. Kyle's not running the ball. Matt Ryan's getting sacked, throwing interceptions. Yeah, this is on Kyle Shanahan. He was the scapegoat. When you blow the 10-point lead up 20-10 with 7 minutes to go in Super Bowl 54, oh, that's easy. It's Jimmy Garoppolo's fault. Yeah, if Jimmy Garoppolo had hit E-Man Sand on that deep ball, we probably win the Super Bowl. Everybody goes home happy. Let's go get us a real quarterback. Yeah, that was an easy one. Who are you putting it on? Can't put it on the quarterback this time. Your kicker, yeah, he got a kick block. He didn't miss a kick, though. Can't put it on him. you Kyle Shanahan. I'm not taking the blame. I didn't do anything wrong. Yeah, you probably did. Yeah. Hey, I've been riding with the whole taking the toss in overtime thing. I'm riding with you, bro. But it was Mahomes. You were probably wrong for doing that. If it weren't Mahomes, if it was anybody else, hey, let's do it. Mahomes, yeah, I don't know about that. Probably shouldn't do it with him. But whatever. Somebody's got to take. I asked you guys this on a podcast about a month and a half ago. Who's going to take the weight? Somebody's got to take the weight, man. Shit's heavy. It's heavy. Somebody's got to take the weight. Who's going to take the weight? If it's not Kyle, if it's not my rookie kicker, if it's not my quarterback this time, I guess it's got to be Steve Wilks. I gave you the lead with under 2 minutes to go. Why couldn't you preserve that? And Steve, if Steve's out there and he goes, well, can I offer a rebuttal? I mean, you could have gotten 3rd and 4, and I wouldn't have had to be on the field there at the end. And I'm looking at Kyle. I'm like, he does have a point. He does have a point, Kyle. You acted as if you didn't know Steve Spagnuolo was going to blitz on 3rd and 4 coming out of the 2-minute warning. You pick that up, the game's pretty much over. And if I'm Steve Wilks, I'm like, hey, I also could bring up the fact that you had a chance to score a touchdown in overtime and you don't block Chris Jones of all guys. You don't block 95. How is that possible? You had not one but 2 receivers wide open and you didn't block Chris Jones. How is that my fault? I feel bad for Steve Wilks. But truth be told, for the 49ers and where they're going and what they're looking to do, he wasn't a great fit. He wasn't a great fit. He's a good defensive coordinator. And much like a lot of these older defensive coordinators who are very successful, the league figures your shit out. You got to reinvent yourself. You got to figure out how to stay up fresh and take what you've done. And that's what made Dan Quinn an effective coordinator again. Remember when he was in Seattle, it was straight cover 3. You knew what you were getting. Can you beat it? And he said, yeah, the league kind of figured my shit out. Early in my Atlanta days, I had to adjust. By the time he got to Dallas, the man was running man-to-man coverage, essentially. Okay? He adjusted. He was like, nah, that cover 3 shit, it's for the birds. They eating that shit up alive now. They got all kinds of zone beaters, and they got ways to exploit the cover 3. I mean, I still run some stuff, but yeah, I switched it up. Steve Spagnuolo, you don't know what's coming, bro. You know he blitzing. You just don't know where it's coming from. Not like the blitz that old Steve was out there throwing around. Not Steve Spagnuolo, the other Steve, Wilks. Where he's got 6 guys up at the line of scrimmage. They're all coming, and I got 5 guys at about 9 to 12 yards of depth away from the receivers, which is a dead giveaway. They're all playing man-to-man, and everybody's coming for the most part. Yeah, like Mahomes isn't about to eat this shit up. Wilks, to me, was never aggressive enough. We talked about this in the divisional round. We talked about it again, though, specifically going into the championship game against Detroit. Like, if you can't put pressure on Goff, he's going to eat your ass up. And I said, based off of what we've seen from the 49ers at the end of the season and in the divisional round against Green Bay, they can't get pressure on the quarterback. So I said, Steve Wilks, you're going to have to dial it up, bro. And he said, me? Dial up pressure? Hey, you joking, right? You kidding, right? Oh, wait, you're serious? Pressure? Me? Nah, man. We'll be fine. Yeah. Next thing you know, it's 24-7. And if not for a couple of drop balls and, some missed opportunities, 49ers aren't even in the Super Bowl. Defense was horrible throughout the playoffs. They were really good for 3/4 of the Super Bowl. That's the thing that sucks. is that even without one of their best players in Dre Greenlaw, they were really effective for the better part of 3 quarters. If not for that punt that hit off the leg of one of their defenders, and I wish Ray McLeod would have just tried to dive on it instead of picking it up. But had that fumble not occurred, I don't know if the Chiefs win the Super Bowl. They were that stagnant on offense up until that point. It was that possession, that sudden change possession and turn of events that really kick-started them, and that's when they started to move the football, even though they still had to settle for field goals. Anyway, Steve Wilks out as San Francisco 49ers defensive coordinator. Kyle Shanahan said, we want a guy that fits what we do. And he kind of almost hinted at regretting going outside of the building. Because the last 2 guys obviously were homegrown product in Salah and D'Amico Ryans. And then they went outside the building because, they were in a position to win a Super Bowl. So they felt like we got to go get somebody that's established. We don't have anybody left. Like, had Salah not taken Jeff Albrecht and he was still there, they could have promoted a guy like that. But they didn't feel like they had a guy like that on the staff. So they went outside of the building. I don't know what they're going to do to replace him. We'll see. But my guess is it's going to be somebody off of someone else's staff that has ties to San Francisco, that runs a similar scheme to what they had been running. So it wouldn't be shocking to me if they went out and got one of the Jets or Texans assistants and brought them back to San Francisco had they been there already, right? We'll see. Should be really interesting to see what they decide to do and how they fill that void. But Kyle identified his scapegoat, defensive coordinator Steve Wilks. And I won't say that it's a great decision, but I don't necessarily think it's the wrong decision. I don't agree with him making him the scapegoat. This Super Bowl loss is not on him. The 49ers offense had plenty of opportunities to put this game away, and they didn't. Whether it was penalties, turnovers, mistakes, you name it, they did it, and that's why they didn't win this game. So, take it for what it's worth. Anyway, I digress. Let's move on to social media maneuvers. I'm a midnight marauder. Y'all know what it is. Y'all know how this goes. If y'all are out there, you want to jump in the conversation, whatever it may be. I've been talking about all kinds of shit. If you're just joining us, I talked about my disdain, my absolute disdain for Chuck E. Cheese. Told a story about Chuck E. Cheese and me making a cameo, stepping foot in my first Chuck E. Cheese in over a decade. I'm never going back. I'm like Nas. I'm not going back. I'm not going back, man. I'm never going back. I feel like one of these dudes that just did a 6-year bid and swears he's never going back to prison. Like they're going, I'm on some pop shit. They never take me alive. Like you literally going out. I'm not going back. We about to get in this shootout because I'm not going back to Chuck E. Cheese. My wife knows she better not never, ever tell me, oh, I think I want to have the kids party at Chuck E. Cheese. Well, you'll be manning that up by your damn self. She would never. She already knows how I feel. So I've already talked about Chuck E. Cheese, talked about Suicide Squad. So I'm all over the place. So that means you can go wherever you want to go. Use the hashtag LouieTLive to get in the comment section and have your voice be heard if it is pertinent, which almost everything's inbounds at this point. But the easiest, most efficient, and effective way to ensure that your comment is read, super chats. So with that said, let's get to the comment section. David Brown, stand up. You are the newest member of the MOBB. Mob, y'all know what to do. Show David some love. Welcome him with open arms. Show him how we do it with the MOBB. David Brown, welcome to the squad. Glad to have you. While we at it, Fresh Montana. So fresh and so clean, clean. Stand up. You are the newest member of the MOBB. Mob, y'all know what to do. Show Fresh Montana some love. Welcome him with open arms. Stay scheming. Fresh Montana, welcome to the squad. Just while we're on the subject of the mob, I'm gonna put out a video this weekend asking you guys what time you guys want to do these streams where we break down the tape, where we analyze these prospects. What's a good time for everyone? What's the best time? No time is the best for everyone. What's the best time and the most convenient time for most of you? I'll put out a poll or something that coincides with the video so I can check the data and we can make an informed decision together because we're going to dive into this stuff next week. I'm ready. Mr. Pink, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, T's and P's for the Chiefs fans' injuries tonight. Indeed. Thoughts and prayers for everyone involved. I mean, senseless acts of violence. I can't stand it. I can't stand it. Mr. Pink, double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes, happy corporate fertility day. Lou, how's your toe? Toe's doing great. You know, I did something stupid yesterday. I hit that same toe. A lot less painful this time around. But I said, what am I trying to lose this toe or something? What kind of vendetta do I have against my pinky toe on my right foot? Like, what are we doing right now? Seriously. It's doing fine. That first day though, boy, my shit was on the fire. Fire. The headphones is on fire this time around, Styles. It was on fire, bro. Icy Wayne, stand up. You are the newest member of the MOBB mob. Y'all know what to do. Show Icy Wayne. I'm so icy. Some love. So glad to have you be a part of the MOBB. Welcome to the squad, Icy Wayne. Let's get to the comment section. See what y'all talking about, man. Because I ain't been talking about nothing. Just here kicking it with y'all for a little bit. Y'all know how we do it. Let's see. Anything in here for me? I'm just reading. I just reading all of these comments. Y'all are stupid. Y'all are dumb. Let's see. DJ Walker says, bro, you smacked. The second Suicide Squad was way, 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 way better than the first. Laughing my ass off. I was talking to my son and he's told me the same thing. I'm like, what? Am I tripping? So I think the concept behind the second one, you know, was a little bit better, but the shark guy, he was whack. Give me the lizard dude from the first one. At least he talks, speaks English, understands. Like the shark guy was whack. I missed some of the banter back and forth from some of the original characters in Suicide Squad. Idris killed it though. I will admit that his character was pretty dope. John Cena, he was all right. You know, he fit that whole righteous narrative pretty good. You know, he did a really good job of that. But the whole, you know, girl with the rats and all that, like that shit didn't appeal to me. And I think what probably got people who liked the second one better was the whole narrative surrounding the big ass starfish. That was pretty dope. And the little the brother and the sister was from the first one. I liked the brother and the sister, you know, whole narrative. And I always like when you're building up characters. They didn't really have to do that all that much in the second one because they had already done that in the first one. But I like the building of characters if it doesn't take, like Superman, watching Superman, literally we were building, and Wonder Woman and all of those other DC movies, which is why I stopped watching DC movies in the first place. When you're building up storylines for like 2 hours and the movie's 2 hours and 43 minutes and 2 hours of the movie is building storylines, and then you don't get to action until the 2:02 mark of the movie, 2 hours and 2 minutes in, and then you get 30 minutes of action and the rest is credits. Like, miss me with that shit. I enjoyed the first one better. I did. But, and it's not to say the second one wasn't good. The Suicide Squad was good. I think I enjoyed the characters in the first one better. But, it is what it is. I got a super here. Christopher McLaughlin, my guy. Chris, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. My guy Chris writes, "Hey Lou, what's up, Chris? Happy Valentine's Day to you and your wife." Thanks. Nah, seriously. Likewise, man. Likewise to you and yours. 2 questions. What are your thoughts on the Patriots potentially trading for Justin Fields and giving the number 3 pick to Chicago? Would you be open to the Commanders trading for Hassan Reddick, and why? Thoughts on the Patriots potentially trading Justin Fields and giving the number 3 pick to Chicago? Justin Fields isn't worth the 3rd pick overall in the draft. If it takes that much to pry Justin Fields away from Chicago, then you want him too badly. That's not the value for Justin Fields, the 3rd pick in the draft. You're literally giving Chicago the best of both worlds. You're giving them the opportunity to not only draft, like, you have to make it hard on them. You make them make a choice, make a decision. You can't let them draft Caleb Williams and turn around and double dip and get Marvin Harrison Jr. That's not in the cards. They cannot do that. Now, yeah, no, there's just that just doesn't make any sense. I can't wrap my brain around any trade that involves Justin Fields that gets you into the top 10 if you're the Bears. Now, I'm not saying somebody wouldn't be desperate enough to give up. If you're the Steelers, if you're the Falcons, I'm not giving you the 8th overall pick for Justin Fields. I'm sorry, I'm not doing it. But I'll give you whatever else I have to give you. You know, I've already said I think he's going to fetch a 2nd. And if somebody's desperate enough, you may be able to sneak in the 1st round. You're not getting a top 10 pick for Justin Fields. You can't be that desperate for quarterback that you're willing to give up a top 10 pick if you're the Atlanta Falcons, or even a top 15 pick if you're the Minnesota Vikings, or the Vegas Raiders. Maybe if you're the Raiders. I don't know, but I wouldn't do that. Justin Fields is to me worth a 2nd round pick because of the money you're going to have to pay him. And it's not like you're getting Justin Fields going into year 3. You're getting Justin Fields going into year 4, where you're going to have to pick up that 5th year option. You can't trade for him and then not pick up the 5th year option. And that's a pretty expensive 5th year option. So no, I'm no, second round pick. As far as the Hassan Reddick, we saw that last week. The Eagles have given him permission and his group permission to seek a trade, to find a willing trade partner. Hassan Reddick's been good, but I'm not interested at all. What is Hassan Reddick? 30? If he's not 30, he's definitely 29. I don't have my mobile device, but yeah, I'm good. He needs to go somewhere where he can help somebody win a title right now. That's where he is at this point of his career. He's a good football player, and he can help a lot. Where we're at, he's not at. You need to be like, I'm a Memphis Grizzlies fan, and everything that Memphis is doing needs to be within the right time frame. Like when we were building the team, it didn't make sense for Memphis to have a bunch of 31, 32-year-old players on the roster because that timeline didn't fit where we were going. Now, the window's officially open for Memphis. Next year, starting next year. Now that Bane and his extension money's kicking in, Ja's already making top dollar, and Jaren Jackson Jr. is making good money, and he's about to get an extension here. The window's open officially. Now we got to go after it. So now the 31, 32-year-old player is allowed in Memphis, even though you would much more prefer the 26, 27-year-old guy because he fits the timeline of the core nucleus in Memphis. Same thing in Washington. We're trying to build this thing. A 30, like Danielle Hunter doesn't make sense for Washington. Why? He's 30 years old. By the time we're good, Danielle Hunter's 32 or 33 years old. What good is that? Same with Hassan Reddick. And I don't know his age, but I'm thinking, if I'm not mistaken, he was in the 2013 draft. I think. Maybe that's a little bit too far back. Maybe he was in the 16 draft. I feel like Hassan Reddick was in the 2013 draft, but that's a little far though. But I'm thinking about it. That's too far. That's way too far. Because he spent what? Probably 4 years. I don't think they picked up his 5th year option in Arizona. So he probably spent 4 years there. Then he went to Carolina. What did he spend there? 1 year there. And then he went to Philadelphia, and he's been there for what, 2 years? That's 7 years. Where were we at? The 2017. So I said 16, 17-ish, somewhere in there. Probably 17 draft. Sounds about right. I think he was in that same draft with Deron Payne, I think. So if he was in that same draft with Deron Payne, assuming that he was at Temple for 4 or 5 years, don't know. Let's just say he got to the NFL at the age of 22. And this is going to be his 8th year. He's either 29 or he's 30. So, yeah, I'm going to pass on him because he doesn't fit the timeline. We need to be looking for guys that are 25, 26, 27. Those guys fit the timeline. Really, you looking for 26, 27, or 25, 26, because in 2-3 years from now, they'll still be going on, 27, 28 in the prime of their career when we're ready to win. That's why I'm interested in a guy like Josh Allen. If we're going to sign a free agent in free agency that's an edge rusher, Josh Allen fits the bill. At 20, I think he's 25 years old. He's exactly what you're looking for. Perfect age, going into the prime of his career. He'll be in the prime when we are trying to win and win big. Anyway, we'll see what happens. I wouldn't do Hassan Reddick. DJ Walker, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, DJ. Right. Thanks for the content. Lovely, brother. I appreciate it. Appreciate it, man. Appreciate you for checking the kid out, man, and supporting. Really do appreciate you. All right. Let's see. RHS Chess, writes, you know what's good about our staff, Lou? There are so many interim head coach worthy coaches. With Rivera's staff, we were left puzzled. Rivera's staff was, Rivera got what he wanted. He wanted a staff that was solely and wholly dependent upon him. That's what he wanted. He wanted a staff that everybody that was there because of him. And there was going to be no coach there that we could see like a Sean McVay, no young up and coming understudy that we could look at and say, hey, maybe he need Ron job. There was nobody there like that. So he never had to look over his shoulder. He never had to worry about anybody taking his job. And that sucks, by the way. Because when you do it like that, you don't have a huge margin for error. Right? Because if you build a factory and you're pumping out talent, somebody comes and takes one of your guys, next man up. Because you've built a culture that allows you to replace and replenish from within. But when you don't let anybody in and you keep everybody out, and this is our group and this is how we gonna rock, you got what you got. And the results are what they are. A sad fan says, you listen to the new Kanye album? I didn't even know that there's one that existed. So no, I didn't. I had no idea. I stopped listening to Kanye West albums a long time ago. I'm not going to even hold you. The last album that I think I gave an opportunity to, I know a lot of people swear by The Life of Pablo. I was long gone by then. I think Dark Twisted Fantasy was the last one and that was fire, right? I think that was the last one that I really was on heavy. I think the next album turned me off, and I was like, uh-oh. And I saw where he was going to, right? He was losing it, and I was like, uh-oh, this is not going to end well. And such is life. We've gotten a gospel album from him, all kinds of stuff. Yeah, I've been off that train a long time ago. Chippa. Hold on, I think I gotta, we'll get to that after we get to Chippa. I'm happy with this staff, but what worries me is the players possibly saying, oh, they coach too hard, like last year. Don't need that soft-ish this year. I don't think you're going to get that this year. I don't think you're going to get that. And look, some of these coaches are hard asses, but our team isn't soft. And that narrative, I think, that's a dangerous narrative to be floated out there and perpetuated. And that's why Ron was out of pocket for that. I think he might have lost the team when he did that bullshit, because now you got the players having to answer to questions of being soft. Now you got the national media running with that shit. And now you got players having to tweet out, hey man, get out of my face with that bullshit. Ain't nobody soft over here, right? Like they should have never had to answer to that. If somebody had questions about how EB was doing, that should have been some in-house shit. Nobody should have known about that. But I don't think these players are soft, bro. That's never been a question. I've never felt that way watching this team. And the environment that's going to be created with these coaches is going to be one that is different. Every player that I've heard, to a man, that has been coached by Dan Quinn has said the same thing. He fostered an environment that made you want to come to work and run through a wall for him. They had fun. It was enjoyable. I think it's going to be fine. I really do. But, we'll see what happens. I can't say. David Brown, really appreciate you for the generosity. First of all, thank you for being a member of the MOBB. You joined up tonight, and I really do appreciate you. And then upon joining, you just said, hey, it's Valentine's Day. I'm going to spread the love. Well, I appreciate that. Thank you for gifting 10 memberships. Can't thank you enough for your generosity. Truly do appreciate you, David Brown. Thank you. JB3, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, could we trade the White House for Mahomes? We might have to throw some more shit in there. That's not good enough. You're going to need probably the Lincoln Memorial. You probably going to need the Jefferson Monument. You're going to have to throw some shit in there. That's not enough. It's not enough. We're going to have to spice up the deal a bit to get Mahomes. That ain't enough. Remember Smokey's mom? When she gave Smokey a couple bucks to go get her some cigarettes, and he said, this ain't enough. And she said, well, make it enough. That ain't enough for Mahomes, man. That ain't enough. Let's see. Reddick will be 30 at the start of the season. So he's 29 right now. That's where I thought he was. So yeah, no. I'm good on him. I'll pass. RHS Chess writes, do you see how excited everyone on the Chiefs were when San Francisco elected to receive endless time, 4 downs, you know what to do, that's no pressure, plus you could go for 2 points and end it? Yeah, I did see that. I saw the clip, the mic'd up audio, I think from inside the NFL is where they showed it. And I saw the clip on socials going around. And I've made my point in my case for why you take the toss. There's more evidence out there and more people that think contrary to that, and that's the right side. I'm on the wrong side of this one, and I don't mind being on the wrong side of this one, especially when it's Mahomes. I think for me, knowing that Mahomes is on that other sideline, knowing that there's a good chance he's probably going to score a touchdown, there's no way I want him getting it last, right, and getting 4 downs. Anybody else, I'm sticking to my guns. I don't give a shit who it is. Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, I don't give a shit. Lamar Jackson, you name it, whoever you think is among the best in the league. If it ain't Patrick Mahomes, I give it to their ass last. Put the pressure on their ass and see if they can do it. Mahomes is about that life. I don't want him having 4 downs to go down the field. So yes, I will concede that Mahomes ain't the one. Anybody else, I'll take it first. Because if you want to go for 2 and to win, that to me, that gives me an extra opportunity to win the game. If I blow it by giving up the touchdown and you decide to go for 2, I still got 1 chance, 1 snap, 1 down to redeem myself. I feel like I'll take my chances from the 2-yard line, getting 1 stop. Getting 1 stop to win the Super Bowl. If I can't stop you from going down. And again, that would require me to take care of business on the opening possession, clearly. So, yeah, they were very excited. But see, the Chiefs had a plan. The 49ers didn't. That's why they were so excited. The Chiefs already prepared for this, and they talked about it. They were already prepared for the overtime rules. The 49ers weren't. Clearly, they weren't. That was abundantly clear. Justin Goins writes, the better Marvin Gaye song to do the nasty to, Sexual Healing or Let's Get It On. I think I've told you guys this already. I hate Sexual Healing. Oh my God. Sexual healing is like Kool-Aid and ramen noodles to me. I've had it so much in my lifetime, that I could never, ever drink Kool-Aid or eat oodles and noodles again in my life. And I never will. If I never heard sexual healing again, like it is the oldest, like when I think of sexual healing, I think of like 61-year-old people trying to have sex. It's disgusting. Okay. Let's get it on. It's all right. It's all right. Like, I'm a massive Marvin Gaye fan. I can give you 20 Marvin Gaye songs that I'd rather hear before either one of those two. But if you made me choose, give me Let's Get It On. Give me that one. Sexual healing. I think I might. This is risky now, because if my mom catches me, it's a wrap. But I'd slap my mama before I listen to sexual healing. Now it's risky because if my mom gets any piece of cloth and is able to, once she's got a hell of a grip. So if she gets any cloth after the slap, it's over. I'm done. But I'd take the risk. I take the risk. Let's see. Miss P writes, have you heard either of those Beyonce country themed singles yet? You know I have. My wife is a massive Beyonce fan. She went when she came to FedEx Field. Her and my sisters went, spent the weekend up in DC. Of course, I've heard those songs. And I told her promptly, get that shit out of here. I Dikembe Mutombo those bitches. That shit out of here. I had my my Google Mini, and I said, Google, turn the volume up to 10. Drown that bullshit out that she had going on. That bullshit ass country song that she was playing. My wife, she doesn't like one of them. She likes the other one. I was like, she's like, she's from Texas. I don't give a goddamn where she's from. She could have been from Nashville. I don't give a shit. It's trash. Get out of here. Anyway, I digress. Let's see. Is that it? We can move on. Kevin, the PRF, writes, if Fields is worth a third overall, let's go ahead and get our third rounder for Sam right now. The two are not the same, but your point is made, right? Point taken. There's no way he's worth the third overall pick in the draft. That's asinine. If that's the case, if you're New England and you don't like the quarterbacks that much, then trade that pick to somebody else that does. You're better off trading out of 3, letting one of these thirsty, hungry teams come up. You'll pick up an extra third or second or whatever, and then you can trade that for Justin Fields instead. There's no way, if you're New England, that you want Fields that bad that you'll give up the third. The value of that pick is so much greater than that of Justin Fields. You could trade that to Atlanta, who's dying to get into the top 3. The Giants are probably dying to get into the top 3. The Raiders are dying to get into the top 3. There's so many teams dying to get into the top 3. If you want Justin Fields, trade back, pick up King's ransom, and you can put together a good package that is a better value than you giving up the third overall pick. That's so ridiculous. So ridiculous. Kevin, the PRF, writes, reference our staff. I'm starting to wonder where never enough eyes ends and too many voices begin. So I had somebody bring that up. Like, there's a such thing as too many cooks in the kitchen. And I was like, yeah, but this ain't the NBA, or it's not Major League Baseball, or even hockey to a lesser degree. Bro, there's 53 guys on an NFL roster. There's almost no such thing as having too many coaches, too many people involved. Do you know how much work goes into preparing for a game? An NFL week? I don't think there's a such thing as having too many guys with individual specialized roles. Look, this is why they talk about having an aligned vision. This is where it comes into play. If we're not all on the, yes, you can have too many cooks in the kitchen if everyone has their own agenda. If we're not all on the same page, if you want to do it this way, that was one of the problems with Jay Gruden. Remember? Jay wanted to have more say over the draft because he didn't agree with what, and I wouldn't have agreed with the shit either. He didn't agree with the personnel moves that were being made. Like he always goes on record of saying, I wanted Preston Smith to be re-signed, right? He wanted more control over personnel. They gave him Alex Smith, who did not fit his offensive scheme, right? Without even consulting him. He wanted to pick the defensive coordinator, did a horrible job of doing it, and embarrassed Wade Phillips instead of hiring him, which would have probably made him a, dare I say, two-time playoff appearance head coach instead of one, or multiple trips to the postseason had Wade Phillips been his defensive coordinator instead of the shit that we were putting out on the field. And then to take it a step further, he didn't even like Bill Callahan. They didn't even get along. Bill Callahan couldn't stand Jay Gruden. So the run game and the pass game didn't even marry up with one another. That's what we talk about when we talk about an aligned vision. Everybody's got to be on the same page. What good is it to have one of the best offensive line coaches in the league if he's not being able to do the things that make him one of the best? You have your scheme. You want to run duo. He doesn't want to run that shit. You can't play action fake off of duo. It's hard to. So, yeah, you can have too many cooks in the kitchen when everybody's not on the same page and everybody's doing their own thing. But if everybody's on the same page, in lockstep with one another, the vision is truly aligned, you should be fine. We shouldn't have any issues. David Brown, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Once again, thank you for being a member of the MOBB. My guy, David, writes, I trust our front office so much for the first time in 30 years. I'm not hung up on who we draft. I'm at peace. I'm so all in on the front office. I'm going to take I'm excited. I'm as excited about this staff as I've been probably since the Shanahans came to town. I was really excited when Mike Shanahan came to Washington. I really thought he was going to turn things around. And he would have had Daniel Snyder just got out of the way and allowed him to do. Obviously, you see the staff he was building, and we saw what he did with Robert Griffin III in his rookie season, and they would have done wonders for this organization, just like Marty would have if Snyder had gotten out of the way. But he was always his own worst enemy. Anyway, this is as excited as I've been in over a decade plus. And if we're talking from a front office standpoint, like you said, it's over 30 years because Daniel Snyder came here and we didn't even have a semblance of a front office before he got here. It's already a mess. It was Charlie Casserly trying to hold everything together with a piece of thread, some super glue, a thumbtack, and an unchewed piece of Bubblicious, which what good is that, right? It was tropical, though. No, it was Strawberry Splash. There's no better flavor of Bubblicious than Strawberry Splash, right? We all agree on that, right? Seriously. Anyway. The draft does still do matter, though, David, because number 2 is going to be huge. That's going to be a big pick, man. They get that right, and David, we could be dancing in the streets. We could be having a parade if they get that pick right. If they don't, we could be here doing the same thing we're doing right now again in 4 years. So we'll see. The Big Bad Wolf Beatty. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, I will digress before I rest. Head ass. Oh my gosh. I get a lot of flack for saying I digress a lot, but I truly do digress. But I had somebody sent me a great email, and I'm going to respond to it. And he knows who I'm talking to if he's out there. Shout out to my guy. But he said, don't stop saying I digress. And I'm not. I'm not going to. But, sometimes it's crazy. I don't even realize I'm saying it. I say it so much. And what's crazy is I don't say it like in everyday speech. I'm not with my sisters, and I'm talking to them in mid-sentence as I'm transitioning to my next thought. I digress. I don't do that. I only do it when it's like I'm in some sort of a trance or something, when I get behind the mic and all of a sudden I digress is the over-under is on like 9.5 for a show that runs an hour long. And if it's a podcast episode, it's probably more like 13.5. But anyway, I digress. Let's see. Uh-oh. I'm reading some of these comments. Y'all are hilarious. Oh my God. I can't with y'all. Booker writes, is the 49ers window closed? You don't get many chances at a chip. No. Closed is that is an extreme term to use for a team that's still relatively young. Now, the reason why it's so tough in this league is because, one, it's set up for parity, but two, it's hard to keep the nucleus of a team together for as long as you need to keep that window open, unless you have a transcendent quarterback like Patrick Mahomes or Tom Brady. That keeps your window open as long as they are playing at a high level, right? Brock Purdy's good enough to win a Super Bowl with. We saw that this year. They could have won the Super Bowl this year with Brock Purdy. And that means they can get back to a Super Bowl. But now you got to pay Brandon Ayuk. And you saw his girlfriend up on IG and on social saying that might be the last time that he sets foot in Levi Stadium, even though they weren't in Levi Stadium. But yes, her point is they got to come up off this bread. We're not giving them a discount because we want to stay. We need to be paid. Well, you can't pay everybody. You just paid Debo. You're already paying Trent Williams. You're going to have to pay Brock Purdy. You've already paid, and I can go on and on. You paying Christian McCaffrey. There's only so much money to go around, right? And so you just paid Mooney Ward. You got to make a sound decision. Can we afford to pay 2 receivers and a tight end and a running back and a left tackle and a quarterback all at the same time? Big money. The answer might be no, but they can't let him walk. I assume they'll franchise tag him before anything else. They'll figure out something. He's not walking this year. They're going to try to get back to the Super Bowl. But I said all that to say this. The window isn't closed. It just becomes increasingly harder to get back. Every year that passes, it gets harder and harder to get back. No 2 years are alike in the NFL. Every year, every team is like a snowflake. So, that's why I felt bad for Detroit Lions fans who were like, oh, we'll be back next year. And I was like, like Hurts, not exactly. But, being that they were able to bring the whole crew back, they got a shot, right? They got a shot to run it back. But it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy. The Packers are like, hey, we in the building now. We ready to make some noise. What's up? We gave you a chance. Now we back. The Bears are like, hey, don't forget about us. We about to make wholesale changes. We ready to make a little bit of noise our damn self. And the Vikings are just kind of in no man's land. Who knows what's going to happen with them? But we'll see. The window's definitely not closed. It's just not going to be easy for them to get back. They've been to the NFC Championship game 4 out of the last 5 years. They've been to the Super Bowl twice in that span. You needed to have something to show for that. Got another super chat from David Brown. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes, you had me at Parade and lost me and will be here in 4 years. Be here again in 4 years. LOL. Now, I didn't say we will be back here, but I was just trying to show you how important the draft is, but in particular, the number 2 overall pick for the Commanders is. That's the importance. On one hand, you could be dancing in the streets at the parade. On the other hand, we could be doing this whole song and dance again. If that pick if we don't get that thing right, and it's not easy. This thing is not a science, there's no science to this. You just got to hope. Like, you do as much homework as you can. You talk to these guys. You talk to people who know them. You get as much intel and you gather as much information as you can. And then you just cross your damn fingers and hope you got it right. That's what this thing is. It's a crapshoot. You have no idea. The only thing you can control, the only variable you can control from a standpoint of select is you better vet the hell out of that guy as an individual, as a human being, as a person, as a leader. You should be able to do enough work to know what you're getting yourself into. Now, again, money changes things. It's a little bit different with these athletes now. They're already getting paid at the collegiate level. So the whole money changes who they are thing, it's a little bit different now. It doesn't mean the same thing that it used to. You should know who you're getting in bed with before you draft them now. That's the only thing you should be able to control is, if I give this guy X amount of millions of dollars and make him the captain of my team and the leader of this ship, essentially the captain of this ship, am I going to get a steady, calming influence and a presence that's going to show up every day and hold everybody accountable, including himself? You should be able to determine that. You would hope you can determine that. Now, what you're going to get on the field in terms of play, that's anybody's guess. It's really hard. Unless you got one of those talents that it's undeniable and you already know. Like an Andrew Luck, like a Joe Burrow. Those are rare, by the way. So, I don't know. We'll see. Kevin, the PRF. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Who writes, when I kept track last year, your I digress record on overtime was 14. This season, I might track. I said that all to say this. I don't say that as much, though, but I do say that because what I ultimately find myself doing a lot of times, and you guys can attest to this, is I'll go off on a non sequitur. I'll go off on a tangent in a heartbeat. I'll start here, and then it'll get so bad sometimes that once I'm done with that thought, I'll end up so far in right field that I'm like, damn, how did I get there? Like, what was I talking about originally? How did I even get there? I'll start by talking about, you know, the NFL draft and quarterback, and I'll end up talking about Teddy Grahams. And I'm like, Teddy Grahams? Nobody liked chocolate Teddy Grahams. The best ones were the honey. And then I'm done with that. And I'm like, Teddy Grahams. What was I talking about at first? You know the commercial with that lady for, I think it's Discover Card, and she's kind of like a little slow, and she's like, but Janie stole my bike when I was 9. Does she get it too? And he's like, yeah, if she has Discover, she gets the bonus cash back too. And she's like befuddled, like, that doesn't seem right. And that's how I am sometimes when I'm talking about stuff. I'll just be talking, and then I'll go from one thing to the next thing to the next thing. And normally when I do that, I try to tie it in all together because there's a reason why I went there. Sometimes it just isn't. But if I do a good enough job of tying it all together, you'll get that saying, that phrase at the end. I said all of that to say this. I think Eric Bieniemy might have made me dislike that statement just a little bit. Just a little bit. I may have to refrain from using it as much. David Brown, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy David writes, who's the most important free agent you would re-sign? Curl, Fuller, Samuel, Brissett, etc. Oh, when the season first ended, I think it was Kendall Fuller for me. And while he's getting up there in age, I was so worried about this secondary and not sure what direction they were going to go in. And he's a little older, so that was something that I worried about. But now, after looking at all the changes that have been made, all the guys that they've brought in here, and the confidence level that I have, that we have true teachers in that secondary now. And I expect mass improvement across the board with all the young players that we have. Excuse me. And I expect them to go get us some more talent in the secondary when it's all said and done. I'm not so worried about Kendall Fuller potentially not being back. The guy that makes the most sense to me now, again, it'll have to be an affordable deal, something that makes sense. There are two guys, and it's hard for me to pick between the two. But you asked, I'm going to give you an answer. So the two guys that it's come down to for me are Curtis Samuel and Cam Curl. I just feel like defensively, a guy like Cam Curl with his smarts, his football acumen, I would like to think that this group would really maximize him more so than the last group did. I would love to think that that would be the case. I'm like, why can't he be our version of Donovan Wilson? He's just as good as Donovan Wilson is. Why can't he be Donovan Wilson for us? If they can take Donovan Wilson and make him look like a pseudo Pro Bowler, why can't they do the same for Cam Curl? And I think he's even more versatile than Donovan Wilson. But I think with the offense, though, and Cliff Kingsbury and wanting to spread teams out, guys like Curtis Samuel, and then the creativity, guys like Curtis Samuel, I think, are invaluable. Now, you may be able to find another one of those dudes in the draft and not have to pay Curtis, $14, $15 million a year. Fine. But Curtis showed me a lot last year. He's still very young, relatively young. And he's grown on me to the point where I'm like, I want him to be around. He's one of those dudes. There are not many guys that I care enough about because I find myself not getting as attached to players anymore because I know that's a slippery slope that you really don't want to go down as a fan. I've been a fan long enough to know. Don't attach yourself to players. Attach yourself to the team, to the organization. But there's a select few guys that I've attached myself enough to be able to say, hey, when this gets turned around, you need to be here. You've put in the work, the sweat equity. You have been a foundational piece. And when this thing finally turns around and we get to the other side of this very rugged and steep mountain, we get to the top and we get to finally look down, you need to be here. He's turning into one of those guys for me that needs to be here. Along with Terry, Allen, Payne, etc. Right? There are not many. That might be the group. Cosme is another one that's growing on me in that regard. It'd be between those two. Give me Samuel, though. Give me Samuel. I really think Curl could be really good in this defense. But give me Curtis Samuel. That'd be the guy. If the money's right, I'd take Curtis Samuel back because I think he could be maximized in this offense with Cliff Kingsbury. Zolife, no life. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Who writes, Charvarius Ward to Snead to possibly Jalen Watson. When did our depth players blossom into red chip players? Man, I'm so excited for our staff. That's the hope, right? That's where we're trying to go. The Chiefs have always been one of those teams that have cut. Because, again, if you're going to pay Kelsey, if you're going to pay Mahomes, obviously. At one point, they were paying Tyreek Hill. They made a decision on Tyreek. And they were going to pay him, and then the money got too much for them. And they said, we can't do it. If you're going to invest in the line, and remember, they spent a lot of money in that offensive line, right? Orlando Brown at one point, Joe Thuney, and obviously this year they went out and got Jawan Taylor. And so they spent resources on the offensive line. When you're going to spend that, you got to cut corners somewhere. Chris Jones, they spent a ton of money on him over the years. You can't pay everybody. So they elected to cut a corner at corner. They spent at safety, right? They let Juan Thornhill walk, but they still went out and got some guys. Signed Mike Edwards. Didn't cost them a whole lot. They spent on Reed, Justin Reed. That cost them a little something, but it wasn't it wasn't the money that they were spending previous on Tyrann Mathieu, but they spend. That shows you they spend at safety. They value the safety position. Not to say that they don't value corner, but they feel like they can find corners and develop them. Corners are expensive, very expensive. If you feel like you can draft and develop, it's on to the next, on to the next one. Hard to move on when you always regret one, but you don't regret one when you got another one sitting behind the one that you just let walk. So it's nice when you do it right. And that's what it looks like when you do it right. Charvarius Ward, Mooney Ward, to L'Jarius Sneed, to Jalen Watson, who did get cooked in the Super Bowl. But also has like a 98-yard pick six against Justin Herbert, which proved to be like the game winner. So he has some talent too. Red Wing 01. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, when they hired Lynn, I was like, oh no, y'all can't just let Gibson and Curtis walk now. This is just too perfect for them. An immaculate pairing. I don't think Antonio Gibson was ever made to be a running back. And that's okay. And while I like him, I don't love him. I'm not tied to Antonio Gibson. I haven't looked at this year's crop of running backs yet, so I can't tell you if there's something, because it's not going to cost you a whole heck of a lot to bring back Antonio Gibson. If you want him, you can get him back for pennies on the dollar. Okay. So I'm not concerned about the money. That's not an issue. The issue is, can we find a more natural, dynamic back in space than Antonio Gibson? He doesn't make anybody really miss. He does not have the best contact balance, which to me are two of the most crucial ingredients in a dynamic back. You don't have to be a speed demon, but can you take contact and stay on your feet? Alvin Kamara is my poster child. I talk about this every year. He's one of my favorite backs. You guys know it because I talk about him all the time. When we talk about the draft and we talk about running backs, I always talk about Alvin Kamara. And one of the reasons why I talk about Alvin Kamara so often is because of his contact balance. He's not a 4-4 guy. Never has been, never will be. But if you don't come, pause, and wrap him up and get him down with a forceful form tackle, you think you're going to bump Alvin Kamara, you're going to get a piece of his ankle, or you're going to shoulder him in his knee, and you think he's going to go down. He's going to stumble, but he's going to stay on his feet, or he's going to bounce off that contact and keep on running. Those are the guys that separate themselves in the league. And it always seems like in Washington, we never have guys with good contact balance. Now we do in Antonio or in Brian Robinson. He has really good contact balance. But Gibson does not. Clinton Portis did not, right? And so all that speed doesn't matter if you're never in a position to showcase it. If there's a more natural running back, guy that's been playing running back his entire life and he can run, and he's got better contact balance, and you can get him in the 4th or 5th or 6th round, I'd like to try my hand at that. If I look in this draft and there's not a lot of guys with tremendous speed and nobody really jumps off the screen at me and I'm not really wowed by any of them, and every year they're guys that the league as a whole misses on. We saw the kid for the Ravens. What was his name? That came from James Madison. Y'all know who I'm talking about. Everybody missed. He was excellent. And then he got hurt. But he was excellent. We see undrafted guys come in here and play really well. James Robinson, probably like 5-6 years ago, undrafted for Jacksonville, started week 1, was excellent. Gibson's cool, but I think we can find better. But we'll see. We'll see. The Big Bad Wolf Beatty. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes, I digress, but you like that new Deadpool trailer? I did. My wife went nuts. Y'all, I think y'all heard her. I didn't have her muted at the time, and she was going off. Oh my God, they're coming out with that new Deadpool! So, you know what's funny? A quick story. It took us like 4 years. Okay, not us, me. She had already seen the first Deadpool. She had not seen 2. She was waiting on me because I said, hey, I'll watch it with you. Just give me a chance to catch up. But I was dragging my feet and it took me forever. Then one night, me and my daughter were up. I did not know what Deadpool entailed, or else I would not have let my daughter watch it with me. That said, we were up late one night, and so we watched it together. And then I was glad we didn't watch the second one together, because that one was even more raunchier than the first one. And so it took us a long time to watch the first 2. But you know what's, the beauty in that, when you get to the party late and then they put out the next one, the next part to this next sequel to the series, is that you don't have to go back and maybe watch the first 2 to refresh your memory on what happened. We just watched it not too long ago. So it's fresh in our minds. For the people that watched those Deadpool movies when they first came out, you might have to go watch number 2 again to remember. But this one's going to have Wolverine in it, and it's actually Hugh Jackman. Yeah, this one's going to be really good. I haven't even watched the full trailer. I'm sold already. Let's see. Where did I leave off at? Yeah, right here. I think I was right here. Got a super though, so I'm gonna take that. David Brown, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy David writes, I was born and raised in the 757, but live in the Tampa area, so I hope to link up with some fam during the road game this year. Oh man, you sound like me. Now I haven't been transplanted, into a different state, but I'm 757 through and through. I rep it every chance. That's why I was so excited for Daryl Tapp, right? Like it's like a homecoming, like he's coming home, right? So yeah, hopefully you'll be able to link, with a lot of the fam. It's always good to see family. Always good to see family. But should be good times. I'm looking forward to seeing how the schedule breaks down, when games are. I wonder. I think the league's going to make us pay. I don't think they see us like nothing we've done makes us more attractive to this point. Free agency in the draft will dictate how the league views us in terms of marketability. Do we want to put you on Monday night, Sunday night, etc. We're going to have a Thursday night game, and we're going to have at least 2 primetime games. Even though we only had one technically this year, we had Thanksgiving too. That was the second one, even though it's not technically a primetime game. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. You'll enjoy it. I know that much. One thing I can say about our fans is they show up on for the road games. Can't always say that for the home ones, but they show up for the road games. Quick question while we're here before we move on. Anybody that ever says they're from the 757, I'm always curious. What city are you from? Like, and you can't say nothing crazy like, yeah, I'm from Williamsburg. That does, you don't count in the 7 cities. So I'm always curious. And look, if you're from Williamsburg, I'm not looking for any smoke. But I always just want to know, are you from one of the 7 cities? It'd be some people claiming 757, but be from the 804. And I'm like, I'll be looking at them like, anyway, I digress. Okay, Newport News. You in solid. Oh, you said you went to Denby. Okay. Yeah, you in solid. You in solid. I was like, Denby. I was trying to think of some of them neighborhoods around there. Like, you might be a little rough around the edges, David. But nah, I think you cool. You cool. You went to Denby. You should be fine. S. Mackey, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. S. Mackey, thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, how do you think you would do versus Stephen A. Smith? What do you mean verse, Stephen? Are you talking about like a topic? Just depends on how passionate I am. So he's got a wealth of knowledge on certain things that I just don't, right? And he's been doing it so much longer than I have. So there's that. His vocabulary is unmatched, right? I'm not even looking to go there with him, but arguing, I can hold my own against anybody if it's something that I'm passionate about. I don't care who you are, how advanced your vocabulary is. Facts are facts, opinions are opinions. And when you do what they do, everything is opinion based. So I would be fine. Um, I wouldn't find myself being like a fish out of water. I wouldn't be overwhelmed or anything of the sort. But it's just got to be something that I could hold my own in, you know. But Stephen A is a unique guy. I don't always agree with him, but he's a good dude. But we don't always stand for some of the same things, if that makes any sense. Andre Robinson, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Andre, right. Just finished watching the beginning of the show. I agree, bro. Nothing but Bebe's kids at Chuck E. Cheese. Little badass mofos laughing my ass off. Bro, it took me all of 7 minutes because it took us 5 minutes to get in, right? They had to take our picture. I was like, what are we doing right now? But it took me all of like 2 minutes for all of those feelings to come rushing back once we actually set foot in, once we got past the checkpoint, right? It took me all of like 2 minutes to realize. And the bad part was like my wife, so they got invited to a party, and if you watched the earlier portion of the episode, I talked about my wife taking my son to a party probably like 4 months ago or so. And I was like, nah, I'm not going. So she took him by herself. And they went like Sunday morning early. Nobody was in there. She's like, it actually was the best time to go. I've never been at Chuck E. Cheese where it was that empty. Like it was literally us and like one other party. I was like, oh, work. That was dope. I still don't want to go. But I was like, oh, okay, that's more my speed. This lady had the party at like the absolute worst time, 3 to 5 on Saturday. Whew. I was like, JC, if you get me out of this one without having to strangle somebody else's kid, I promise I won't come back. You have my word. I won't even come back for my own kid's birthday party. Just get me out of here safely, man. Let's see. I think we got 1 or 2 more I'll take, and then we'll move on to our final segment of the show. And that's garbage time. Red Wing 01 says Suicide Squad 2, The Suicide Squad, clears 1 easily, or clears Suicide Squad 1. I think I might be in a minority. Me and my wife might be in a minority there. And that's okay. That's okay. Mike Jink says, I'm from Franklin. There's no way you're from Franklin. I don't believe you. You need more people. There's no way. The fact that you even know about Franklin scares me because you might actually be from there. Oh my goodness. That's funny. John Wynn writes, thank God Green Bay got rid of Aaron Rodgers and now I got to deal with Jordan Love. They've been among the most, I can't call it luck because they've done it 3 times in a row now. They traded for Favre. They drafted Aaron Rodgers when they still had Favre, and then they drafted Jordan Love when they still had Aaron Rodgers. So it's not luck. They're just really good at what they do, identifying quarterbacks and understanding when to go get them and have those guys baking in the oven while they still got guys that can cook. It's been fun to watch. Terrence Brown says he's from Suffolk. That's rough, but Suffolk's coming up in the game a little bit, but still Suffolk. Yeah, it's a lot of talent that came out of the 757 for sure. Anyway, I digress. There I go again. All right, let's transition into our final segment of the show. And that, of course, is garbage time. So I was looking at the NFL and the ratings for the Super Bowl. I don't know if you guys saw this or caught wind of this, but the Super Bowl 58 that we just witnessed between the Chiefs and the 49ers was the highest watched live program in history. When you start saying ever in history, using phrases like that, the popularity of the NFL is ridiculous. Obviously, it's a machine. But you know what was funny was that I encountered so many people that were doing the old, I don't know if I'm going to watch. I'm so over the Chiefs and, I just wanted something different. I wanted the Lions to make it. And I was like, man, shut up. You're going to watch. And those same people watched. And the beauty of the Super Bowl, and this is why the Super Bowl will always and forever remain undefeated, is it attracts people who don't watch football because it's bigger than just football. Even though the commercials, to me, have the importance of the commercial in the grand scheme of the Super Bowl has kind of lost its luster and its place. There's still people who care about the commercials. There are people who come strictly for the Super Bowl, the halftime show, right? That's become a spectacle all onto itself. Then there are just casual fans who, like my aunt, for instance. I was talking to my aunt on Sunday, and she said, she, brought up because she knows what I do, and she asked me about the game, and so I asked her, who was she pulling for? And she's like, I always like to root for the underdogs. So I thought she was saying she was rooting for Kansas City because they were the underdogs. But I was thinking of it from a literal perspective, not from like everybody who doesn't really watch football or who watches football they don't care that Kansas City technically was the underdog. They see them as the favorite because until you knock off Mahomes, you're the underdog, right? So the whole Mahomes Chiefs underdog narrative, we used to do the same thing with Brady. When he would be an underdog, we'd be like, and they would play it up, right? The Patriots and Belichick would use it as bulletin board material. I'm like, y'all ain't no damn underdogs though, man. Stop. Same way we feel about the Chiefs. And so she was like, nah, I'm not talking about San Francisco. Oh, I'm not talking about the Chiefs. I'm talking about San Francisco. She said, I only watch the Super Bowl, though. I can't watch the regular season. I get too mad. So I just watch the last game of the season. There's a lot of people like that. I think I saw 158 million viewers watch the Super Bowl. That's crazy. Considering that there's no other live sport that even gets remotely. Like NBA finals, you could put the best two players in the world in their primes going at it, and the NBA might do NFC divisional round playoff numbers. The finals last year, I think, did like Pro Bowl numbers for the NFL. Take any preseason NFL game that's nationally televised and put it up against the NBA finals game, whatever you want. It's crazy. It's wild. But it just goes to show just how popular the NFL is. And I think you guys all saw this last week. They're going to Brazil. They're going to Brazil next year. Week 1, the Eagles will be playing somebody. And I'm like, please don't let it be Washington. Please don't let it be Washington. And all of the media members like, please let it be Washington. Please. They want to go to Brazil. I'm like, no, I don't want them going to Brazil. So somebody on the Eagles schedule is going to Brazil. They're trying to make this thing international. That's the one thing the NBA has that the NFL just doesn't, is that international appeal. They're trying. They've been doing their damnedest. And if there's one legacy that Roger Goodell is trying to leave behind when he's no longer the commissioner of this league, similar to the way that David Stern did for the NBA, right? He made the NBA a cultural phenomenon, right? He was the one that really helped grow the NBA to where it is now. And he passed the baton to Adam Silver. Roger Goodell's stamp on the NFL will be that he was able to take it and make it a global product. That's what he's hoping to do. They're trying. But in the meantime, they're dominating the U.S. Dominating it. It's crazy. Anyway, I digress. Mike Jink, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Mike Jink writes, oh, hold on. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes, LOL, I swear, rivals Southampton and Sussex. You really did live in Franklin, bro. That's crazy. So I got a story for that. You know, I got a story for everything. So in my former life, when I was a vendor, we would cover just about everywhere within like what felt like 100-mile radius, but it wasn't that far. But we all had our own little territories. And I would do Williamsburg, Gloucester, Newport News, and Hampton. Those were my 4 cities that I worked in. And then we had somebody else that worked in, Norfolk, Virginia Beach, Chesapeake. And then we had somebody else that worked in like Franklin. And she was actually from Franklin, right? So I forgot what other stores she serviced, but she would tell me about Franklin all the time. And she would tell me how weird the people there were. And she would tell me these stories. And so we used to do what you call a store reset. That's when, and I swear people who do these things, who organize and orchestrate these things, are people sitting in a comfy, cozy office who have nothing better to do than to make the people who are trying to earn an honest, earnest living make their life hell. Take this product and move it from the 3rd shelf and put it on the 2nd shelf in the far left-hand corner. Why did we do that? I don't know, but it looks better. So let's do that. We got 3 new products coming in and we need to make space for them. Why can't we just take the things that they're replacing off and put them there? And I get it. There's probably numbers that indicate that products sell better on the second shelf at, eye level of 8-year-olds who we're targeting, right? In the left-hand corner, their eyes see this first and they pick it up. Right? I'm pretty sure that there's stuff that goes into it, but it's stupid. Anyway, we were doing a reset and we went to Franklin. Mike Jink. The people were weird. Now, there were some nice people, but I felt like I was in one of those shows. I don't remember the name of the show because I didn't watch it, but it's like one of those shows where it's like a cult. Like everybody, it's like a normal town where everybody's the same. And it just felt weird. The energy was weird. It was off. And I was like, it always felt like somebody was watching me. It felt kind of creepy. And I was talking to the lady that works there. Her name's Dana. And Dana's just the nicest country Southern person you'll ever meet. But it was weird. And she was like, I told you. And she was like, one thing about people in, if you're not from there, then they don't like you. If you're not from Franklin, they don't like you. I was like, what kind of shit is that? She said, that's just the way it's always been. It felt crazy. I'm just going to tell you, the energy was off. I was like, well, I won't be going back to Franklin anytime soon. Anytime soon. It was crazy. But you were from there, so you were good, right? You didn't have any issues. I hope you didn't have any issues. Anyway, I digress. I can't believe you from Franklin. That's crazy, Mike Jake. David Brown. Thank you for your generosity once again, man. I truly do appreciate you, David Brown. My guy, David, gifting 20 more memberships. That's a total of 30 memberships you've gifted this evening. Can't thank you enough for gifting those memberships. Truly do appreciate you, my guy, David Brown. So not only did David join the mob today, but he came in, got busy right away, spreading the love on Valentine's Day. Look at that. Blessings on top of blessings on top of blessings. I love it. Anyway, I digress. And she told me that the internet and the Wi-Fi and the services out there, it's not the best, but she lived out in the country though. Like she had horses and all kinds of shit like that. So it's probably a little bit different for her. Her next door neighbor was like a half a mile away type stuff. I don't know. Again, I don't imagine everywhere in Franklin is like that. But what's crazy is when I was growing up and we would watch the weather and they'd be talking about Currituck County, and Manteo and all kinds of crazy ass places. They seem so far, right? Franklin was one of those places. Franklin and Southampton and Sussex. Like, where are these places at? Where could these places possibly be? And then to actually drive to them and be there is like, whoa, this is crazy. Anyway, I digress. That's going to do it for me, your man, Louie T. Thank you for joining me on the 397th installment of the Louie T Network podcast. That was fun. I always enjoy these late night Louie sessions when the activity level is as high as it was tonight. These are the best podcast episodes. They scare people away because, somebody coming to catch up and kind of watch it. They see the 2 hours and 25 minutes and they're like, no, thank you. But for those of you who gutted it out for the entire 2 and some change, or you gave me $1, or you gave me 45, or you gave me $1.30, man, I truly do appreciate you. You're the real MVPs. Anyway, one more time for the road. I digress. You guys enjoy the rest of your evening. I will see you guys soon. If you're a Washington Commanders fan, I will see you tomorrow night for the Command Post Live. We've got a lot to discuss. For the rest of you, I'll be around. Just so you know, I'm going to be out of the office. I'm going on a much needed quick vacation. So I'll be out of the office after Thursday for the next 4 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Hopefully Washington doesn't do anything crazy over that time frame, because I will not, I repeat, not be doing anything. But I will leave you guys some content. I won't leave you bare without anything. You know how I do. But no podcast on Friday, no podcast on Monday. I'll probably be back podcast-wise on Tuesday. So anyway, you know what it is. You guys get out of here. I'll see you tomorrow. Have a good one. God bless and good night.
LouieTeeNetwork.